some technology issues. So just take a quick breath, and so happy everyone is here. Thank you for joining us. This is the third talk of our 4-part summer series, Collective Liberation. I am Tiffany Goodwin Van Camp, the Executive Director of American Friends of Combatants for Peace. Founded in 2006 by former combatants who chose to lay down their arms and join hands to stop the violence and injustice, Combatants for Peace is a joint Palestinian-Israeli community working in solidarity to end the occupation, discrimination, and oppression. Guided by the values of nonviolent resistance, we are showing ourselves in the world that there is another way. American Friends of Combatants for Peace is a diverse community of U.S. and international activists working in solidarity with Combatants for Peace. We raise awareness and resources, build community, and take direct action to advance the work of Combatants for Peace for a just peace in Israel and Palestine. So we created this series to help our community explore the intersectionality of systemic oppression in Palestine and Israel and around the globe, and the intersectionality of how we get free together. The series is rooted in the traditions of the civil rights movement, in which its leaders asserted nobody is free until everybody is free, and that when we help liberate each other, we liberate ourselves. Today's topic is feminist solidarity. This weekend, perhaps some of you had the chance to see it. The New York Times published an article titled "Growing Segregation by Sex in Israel, Raising Fear of Women's Rights." It discusses how Israel's current extremist government is violating the rights and freedoms of women in new ways. And while it's an important article, I encourage everyone to read, and we'll send it to you after today's talk. It does not touch on the impact that the current government and its supporters are having on the lives of Palestinian women. So for this reason, we are so honored to have 3 diverse speakers to share about the impact of the current situation on the lives of women across societies, how women are leading the work of resistance, and how they are uniquely guiding processes of justice and peace. We are honored to have speakers Huda Abu Urquab, Fatima Sabah, Ayala Shalev, and our moderator, Tahia Bikalo. Huda is the regional director of ALMEP. She's worked for the Palestinian Ministry of Education for 15 years and is a leader in conflict resolution, social change, education, and activism. She is the co-founder of the Center for Transformative Education and has taught and trained hundreds of students in Israel and the US. Fatima Soba is a Gazan activist and the Palestinian Freedom School coordinator for Combatants for Peace. She has volunteered as a first responder in the Palestinian Red Crescent Society and served as a risk assessor, health educator, and paramedic. She's also the former field researcher for Islamic Relief Worldwide in Gaza and the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. Ayala is an Israeli activist and the campaigns manager at Combatants for Peace. She is the leading director of this little thing you all might know about called the Israeli-Palestinian Joint Memorial Day Ceremony. If you never knew it, now you know that is the director of that giant and powerful event. And Ayala formerly served as educational projects manager at the Parent Circle Families Forum. Tahia, our moderator, is the executive director of Sisterhood of Salam Shalom. She was born in Bosnia and Herzegovina and has worked in nonprofit international development and peace building in education and immigration. And her focus is on inclusion and diversity in Muslim American communities. She's dedicated to advancing social justice and gender equality. And she's been amazing because she's been dedicated to being my friend this first year in my role. I'm so fortunate to have her as a colleague and so thankful to have her with us today. So with that, actually, before I transfer the microphone over to Tahia, quick housekeeping. So you'll see right now, Lindsay's profile says Combatants for Peace. Lindsay, if you could please change that to say send questions here. We will take questions throughout the talk. They will be primarily reserved for the end of the talk. So you can send your questions to Lindsay at Send Questions Here. And if Lindsay ends up getting too many questions, I will also change my profile name and you can send questions to me. Because we have 3 speakers today, normally we just have 2. And because we have a translator for Fatima, we are going to do this talk as an hour and 10 minutes instead of an hour. So we'll go till 1:10 Eastern time. So hope you will stick with us so that you can gain everything possible through our time together. And now with that, I will hand things over to Tahia.
Thank you, Tiffany, so much. It's truly a pleasure and honor to be today, with all of you today. And I, as Tiffany mentioned, I'm currently serving as executive director of the Sisterhood of Salam Shalom, which I'm honored to be doing, and it's more a calling than a profession. And I just wanted to say a couple of words about the sisterhood before we move to the topic. The Sisterhood of Salam Shalom has been created to build trust, respect, and relationships between Muslim and Jewish women of all ages. Based on our shared values, the mission of the Sisterhood of Salam Shalom is to promote and advocate for human rights and to end acts of hate for all human beings. We envision a world where Muslim and Jewish women live without hate and where freedom, equality, and social justice are within reach for all. So that's our core guiding statement that I wanted to share with everybody. You can learn more about our programs from our website, soss.org. And I am so thrilled to be here with Fatima, Ayala, and Huda. And I was very happy to see that article yesterday, New York Times, which is very timely and connected to this program. So thank you for mentioning that, Tiffany. So we will move right ahead into the questions, and I'm hoping that everybody will be just sort of we'll take turns. And for the first question, I'm hoping we kind of keep it for 3 minutes for each person, and then we'll keep going just to try to get as much information as possible for this event. So the first question that I wanted to ask the 3 of you is, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your current work in the peace and justice movement in Israel and Palestine? I don't see everybody on my screen, but I see Ayala. Maybe we can just start that way. And then I see Fatima. Good.
All right. So thank you for having me here. My name is Ayala Shalev. I'm active in the Israeli-Palestinian peace-building world for about a decade. I started my activity working within Israel. We have within Israel and we have cross-border with the Palestinian citizens of Israel. And then I went on to the cross-border work. I believe it gives me a deeper understanding of the players in this conflict and in the resistance I'm dedicated to. So today I'm wearing 2 hats in this work. Wearing one, I'm the Israeli regional manager of an organization called Hands of Peace, which brings Israelis and Palestinians youth, ages 15, 16, 17, together for 3 weeks dialogue in the US every summer. And wearing the other, so as Tiffany said, for the last 6 years, I've been working on the Israeli-Palestinian Joint Memorial Ceremony, which all of you have to watch. The last 3, I'm the general director of it. Yeah, this year will be my 4th one, and my dream is having it broadcast in the UN. So if anybody has any connections, don't be shy. On top of that, I'm, as Tiffany said again, I'm in Combatants for Peace campaigns manager. And of course, I'm protesting every week against the radical right Israeli government with the anti-occupation bloc that I was one of its founders. And yeah, I get about an hour of sleep every day. That's it.
That's amazing. Thank you, Ayala. Thank you so much. And thank you for everything you do. Fatima, would you be able to share with us next?
Just a minute. Fatima is just preparing the settings so that she can start. So hold on for a second, please.
مرحبا للجميع.
Hi everybody.
أنا أنشط في مجال
I'm
العدالة
an
والسلام
activist in
والمصالحة في
justice
فلسطين
and
وتعزيز هاي
reconciliation in
المفاهيم في
Palestine
نفوس
and
الأطفال
promoting
والطلاب
these
والشباب
principles among
والعائلات في قطاع
the
غزة.
young
أول
people and
سنة
children
إلي
in
كنت في
Gaza Strip.
الجامعة كنت مهتمة في
I
المشاركة والبحث
was
عن فرص
interested in
الانضمام
the university and
للمجموعات
looked for
الشبابية
opportunities to
لإنهاء
join the youth
الانقسام
group
الفلسطيني
to put an end
وإيصال
for the
وتطوير
Palestinian
قدراتي،
division
خصوصا أنني
and
أسكن في
to
قطاع
reach
غزة
a reconciliation between
وبالتحديد في منطقة
Palestinians and
الشجاعية القريبة من
specifically in
الحدود الإسرائيلية.
الشجاعية which is near the Israeli-Palestinian
تعرض
borders in
منزلي
Gaza.
Really quick, you guys.
للقصف
So
وللدمار
sorry.
ومن الجيش الإسرائيلي، بالإضافة إلى
I
ظلم وسوء
when I work there I'm
من
harassed by
تعامل
the
الحكومة
Israeli.
But we're not able to hear your voice with Fatima's voice. So is it possible for you to hear her and translate for us without us having her voice come through? Everyone hang tight with us. Thank you so much.
So yes, she will speak and I will translate sentence by sentence, okay?
Thank you so much.
ما مش عارفة حبيبتي ليش هيك صار معهم معي.
I think because when she speaks and you speak and we can hear both of you, we can't really hear what you're translating.
معلش فاطمة تفضلي، ما بعرف ليه حبيبتي عم بيصير زي كأنه صدفة. تفضلي. لا عندي على الواتساب احكي وأنا بحكي. I'm an activist in reconciliation, peace and justice in Palestine. And promoting these principles for children, young people, and families in the Gaza Strip. And I was interested since I was a junior at the university to join groups that work in peace, reconciliation, and this type of activism. To voice my demands and myself, and also to build my capacities. Especially that I'm living at the borders with Israel in Gaza Strip. My house was demolished by the Israeli army several times. And I was always looking for opportunities to voice my calls for the Israelis to stop the war and achieve justice and peace among us. So I was one of the founders for a youth group in the Gaza Strip. and the co-founder of the group, Rami Aman. And we are working since then in reconciliation, peace, and social justice. My name is Fatima Mohammadin. I'm 30 years old. I'm from the Gaza Strip. I'm living now in the West Bank. And I'm married and I have one boy. And I'm an activist, and I'm a coordinator for the project School for Fighters for Freedom. I believe that youth have all the power that we need to make the change. And they voice the real needs and demands of the Palestinian streets. And if we want to measure the advancement and progress of any community, we need to see how productive and active the youth is in this community. Youth are more active and developed than any other sector in the community. And this is why I work now as a coordinator in the School for Freedom. She is asking, does she have time to explain more about the project, or that would be enough for this round of questions?
I think we can stop here, and then if we have a little bit more time, I think that would be great if she tells us more. But just to make sure that we have other things covered. Thank you so much, Fatima. Thank you. Shukran. Huda, you are next. Would you? I don't think Huda can be with us on the video.
I am with you guys. I cannot be on a video, but I'm with you. And I want to be fast. I'm sorry, I'm at the airport. This is how life works with women who are in the field. I don't know where to start. My name is Huda Abu. I'm the regional director of the Alliance for Middle East Peace. Currently, I'm on leave. That's why I'm traveling at the same time. There's a meeting with you guys. I've always believed in us as human beings and the connection that we can make once we are in the room. And I think this is now currently is one of the needs for both the Palestinians and the Israelis to work on. There is a lot of education that needs to be done. And I'm sorry to my Israeli friends all over the world. This is not a wake-up call for us. This government is not a wake-up call. This wake-up call should have happened in 1995. But I do believe that our work together, non-violently, co-resisting the unjust system would lead for us to liberate. We need each other to liberate ourselves. I don't know where to start. Again, Libby Tropman is one of the people who is on this call. She knows me from ages. Hi, Libby, I love seeing you. But this work is essential, has become more crucial even now. And I think it will only work in a way that we women will have to lead. I'm sorry to the men of the world. You are victims of systems. We raised you that way, but it's time for us as women to get together in order to make sure that our children are not going to end up in graveyards. Thank you, and I'm sorry that you are tolerating my absence in that way.
Thank you, Huda, so much. And thank you, all three of you. That it's already so inspiring to just hear from you and what you're working on. And I do know from my travels to Israel and Palestine that I was always inspired most by youth work and by engagement of women. So this is really just continuing. So let's move on to the next question. With the rise of Israel's extremist government and the increasing violence against Palestinians, how is the current situation further threatening the lives and rights of women in your specific communities? We can maybe go in the same order if you don't mind, and just kind of keep going that way. Thank you so much, Ayala.
Yeah. So 2 days ago, a group of teenagers went on a bus here, I don't know where, but in Israel. The driver yelled at the girls who were wearing shorts. It's unbelievably hot here now. And he shouted at them and told them to cover up and go sit in the back of the bus. And they did that. The ultra-right religious parties that are now in power are about to pass a bill that sets separate times for swimming in beaches and in different springs. Yesterday, I heard that the public pool in Ramat Gan, which is a secular city in the middle of Israel, had already started separate swimming plan. And you know, the big ads they have on buses or on bus stops or billboards in the streets in Jerusalem, in Bnei Brak, in religious municipalities, women are being erased from these ads, erased from the public space, basically. So right now, in the social and political crisis that's going on in Israel, everyone will be damaged, except those close to the people in power. And that's why we have so many people protesting in the streets for 32 weeks now. But women are, of course, part of the big protest, but there's a special separate hell designed only for women by this government. For one, during the creation of this current coalition, in the agreements where they create the coalition, the religious right put in an agreement that it will be okay to discriminate people for religious reasons. So when that actually happens, a doctor could refuse to give care to a woman wearing shorts, for instance, and that would be legal. And the second, there's that sad law they passed about a month ago. I think it's called the reasonableness standard in English, which takes away the court's power and its ability to criticize decisions and laws made by the government on the basis of being unreasonable. This means, if we stay with the same example, that this government can go ahead and make a law saying that discrimination against women or against LGBTQ is okay, and the court won't be able to do anything about it. That's the meaning of this. That's why the big resistance to this law is. Because the meaning of this is that women who were protected by this reason, I can't say that, the reasonability standard in many instances will now be left defenseless and could be bullied by this, I don't know, women-hating government. So there's a big, big effect on women's life with the new Israeli right-wing government right now.
And thank you, Ayala. Is it at the moment, how is it affecting your work in terms of your access to, sorry, this is a follow-up question, but just how you handling it on a daily basis, knowing that it's changing day to day? It's
not in effect yet, you know, but it's getting more and more. We hear of more things happening. We read about the plans to come. It's not taking effect yet, but you know, it's scary and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah. No, thank you for that. Yes, and we heard some of these incidents were actually mentioned in the article the New York Times covered
Yeah,
on Sunday.
I didn't see
So,
that
yeah,
here. I'll
yeah,
see it later.
that is quite a change. Thank you, Ayala. Fatima, can you share with us, and I can read the question again, or if need be.
معاكي ريما.
Yes, Tahia, please, could you repeat it so that I can read it again?
Sure. With the rise.
اوكي انا لا السؤال عندي موجود وواضح.
Okay.
طبعا أنا بالتأكيد إنه المرأة الفلسطينية دفعت ثمن كبير من تطرف الحكومة الإسرائيلية المتعاقبة على الحكم.
The Palestinian women paid a high price for the different government that are taking off at the office.
فقد انظروا إلى إحصائيات النساء الذين قتلهم الجنود الإسرائيليين على الحواجز والطرقات.
Look at the statistics for Palestinian women who were killed on checkpoints by Israeli soldiers.
وأيضا عدد من النساء الذين قتلهم بالطائرات الإسرائيلية في قطاع غزة.
And many Palestinian women also were killed through or by Israeli planes or bombing in the Gaza Strip.
من قذائف وصواريخ وأسلحة محرمة دوليا.
Through missiles, bombing, and internationally forbidden arms or armory.
رزان النجار في 2018 كانت تعالج المتظاهرين على الحدود الفلسطينية، تم قتلها من القناص الإسرائيلي.
Razan al-Najjar, she was a paramedic that she was helping protesters at the Palestinian-Israeli borders in 2018 and was killed by an Israeli soldier while she was doing her job.
شيرين أبو عاقلة صحفية قناة الجزيرة كانت تغطي الأحداث الميدانية منذ أكثر من 20 عاماً.
Shireen Abu Aqle is
قتلها
a
جند
Palestinian.
إسرائيلي أيضاً.
Shireen Abu Aqle was a Palestinian journalist who was working in Al Jazeera TV channel, and she was covering the Palestinian-Israeli conflict for 20 years, and she was killed by an Israeli soldier too.
أنا فقدت عدد كبير من جيراني وأصدقائي وأقاربي بسبب الهجمات الإسرائيلية.
I also lost many of my neighbors, friends, and relatives because of the different Israeli aggressions against Gaza.
Fatima, are you continuing or?
Fatima Sam'ani? Fatima? Fatima Sam'ana? فاطمة سمعاني؟
بحكي لك أنا فقدت عدد كبير من جيراني وأصدقائي نتيجة لقتل إسرائيل لعدد كبير من النساء ضحية في يوم من الأيام.
So تعملي ميوت أظن.
Okay.
So she lost many of her neighbors, friends, and relatives because of the different Israeli aggressions on Gaza, and she was always willing to be the victim in such aggression.
مجتمعنا دائما هم الفئة الضعيفة والهشة في المجتمع التي تتعرض للظلم، سواء الظلم الأسري أو الظلم على المستوى المجتمعي.
Women in our community is the fragile and vulnerable sector always, and they are suffering from domestic violence or community violence.
فالنساء محاصرات من كل طرف وجنب، سواء من العائلة أو من العادات والتقاليد.
Women are always besieged by their families or traditions and customs in their community.
نتيجة للظلم الذي تفرضه إسرائيل على فئة النساء، حرمهم الكثير من التطور والتقدم في ممارسة أبسط حقوقهم.
And also as a result of the injustice that Israel is practicing against women, they are being deprived from their rights in development and progress.
وأنا أؤمن بأنه سيأتي يوم من الأيام وستكون النساء هي صانعة القرار وصانعة العدل والسلام.
And I believe that one day women will become decision makers and they will be peace.
شكرا.
Thank you, Fatima. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing that. Palestinian women are experiencing internal pressures and tensions as well as external. So thank you for sharing that. We appreciate it very much. Huda, can we come to you now to tell us about what are the most recent developments in the community with the changes in the Israeli government? Can you hear me? Huda?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you now. Great. Thank you. I think we might have lost you again, unfortunately.
Hello.
Okay, yes, we hear you. Huda, can I propose that you maybe look for a place where you can find a better connection, and we'll come back to you just to make sure we use the time we have left. Okay, maybe I can just quickly, let's move to the next question, and we can come back to Huda when we have her again connected.
I am connected. I'm sorry again. So my question will be very brief. My answer will be brief. I don't think for the Palestinian people, this government is a huge change. It's intense in its attacks on the Palestinians. It's more obvious, especially when it comes to settler violence. But this is not new for us. I really want to reiterate that more than once. For the Palestinians who live in the West Bank and Gaza, this is not new at all. Unfortunately, now people seeing the truth about what it means to live under a military occupation. And I think PCF, Combatants for Peace, is one of those organizations who have been trying to get that across ages ago. This is not a change on the Palestinian people's lives. Since 1995, the Palestinians have felt that peace to them became equal to loss. But what can we do? This is the question that I really want women in Palestine, in Israel, and in the world to answer, because violence and military violence, structural violence, always had women and children as their first target. This is why the UN Resolution 1325 became a UN resolution, because women are the ones who pay the price. If they are not killed by that bullet, they are killed by the bullet that killed their sons. So I talked to many women who told me that the day they buried their son, they died with them. So they are living the loss until the end. no one hears mothers' cries. And this is where the shame, I feel like, as the world is not listening to mothers' cries. I think it's important for us as women in Palestine and Israel to start taking the lead on how we want to live together. This government is the worst in terms of its attacks on the Palestinians, but also is the best because it raised the awareness all over the world about the intensity of life under military occupation. And it raised also many questions about democracy and the occupation. This is the first time we see people in the streets, even thank you, Ayala, for mentioning the anti-occupation blog, which is growing on daily basis. And the argument becoming easier every time we start a conversation about the Israeli military occupation of the Palestinians. It's becoming easier for us to have that conversation, whether democracy is actually it can go with Jewish values and go with the occupation. So we need to know that this government is bad, but it's also very good for the Palestinians in the sense that it's raising the awareness. That's my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Huda. That was very, very powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And we know that that connection of mother experience is always there between Israeli and Palestinian mothers. And that's something that is hard to not get very emotional about when you speak about that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for clarifying that the immediate effect on Palestinians with this, the changes, immediate changes in the government. We appreciate that. I want to move to the next question, but I just wanted to read something beautiful because we're moving into the question about you as feminist leaders. And I just wanted to share with our audience today two amazing statements. One is from Ayala that says, for me, change is not quieting the flames or putting everything in order. No, when I work toward change, I aim at changing profound concepts and cultivating true humanistic values such as freedom, equality, and justice. I think that is absolutely wonderful and speaks to feminist engagement and women's engagement. And the other statement that I just want to quickly share is by Huda. I refuse to be either an enemy or a victim. The helplessness that comes from feeling yourself to be a victim is paralyzing, but it is not in the nature of the women I grew up with. They were always fighting, adapting, and progressing. So I just wanted to share with everybody, this is really sort of encapsulating the work that you're doing and your words. So the next question that I wanted to ask of all three of you is, as feminist leaders and activists, what barriers do you see women face in the peace and justice movement? What barriers do you face as a woman leader? Ayala, unfortunately, it's you first again.
Yeah. Okay, so I just want to say in response to what Huda said, she of course knows the ceremony, the joint memorial ceremony, brings the pain of both Palestinians and Israeli bereaved. So I think it's a woman's touch.
Mm.
And about your question, it's a hard question. I want to just also, Huda mentioned the UN resolution 1325, which was issued by the UN in 2000, speaking about summing maybe many researches, talking about the important role women have in conflict prevention and resolution and peace building, and emphasizing the importance of women's equal involvement and participating in these processes, which is not happening actually. So back to reality. Living in Israel is living in a militaristic society. That means generally the public, men and women, I'm sorry to say, you are used to seeing men in leadership positions. Men are strong, men know, men are commanders, very militaristic. And in an environment like this, the struggle for women to be leaders and get into leading roles is always present. I don't think it's different from any other field. But working in the peace building areas, I think at the very least, we're working beside men who at least are aware of this and do try to make a change. So this could mean that they would make a point of having women always present in events, I don't know, in panels, in tours, in webinars, right? And a lot of organizations, or a lot, but more and more organizations have this construct of co-leadership, men and women. Although again, there are still more men leading than women, and at least from what I can think now, it's always there's a man and then he puts in a woman to co-lead with him. I can't think of any opposite example. So maybe this is a beginning of a transformation, a process. Yeah, I think it's the same, you know, like in any other field. It's not specific to the peace building world.
Yeah. Okay. And you already mentioned some of the increasing obstacles that are arising at this point to this kind of work and to your engagement. So more to be addressed as you continue. Thank you, Ayala. Fatima, can you share with us, please?
التحديات إنه لا زال في مجتمعنا من الفتيات والشابات بيعانون حتى هذا اليوم من حواجز تعيق نشاطهم النضالي.
The challenge is that till now, many of the female and male activists are still suffering from the challenges imposed by the community on their activism.
وهي ناشئة عن التميز الهيكلي على أساس النوع والجنس، زي ما حكت أيلا إنه مجتمعنا مجتمع ذكوري.
And they are because of the structural and patriarchal type of society that we live in, as Ayla said.
كتير تقارير بتحكي إنه الفتيات والشابات ليس على دراية كاملة بحقوقهم.
There are many reports that said that young men and women are not aware enough about their rights and entitlement.
لأنه غياب السلامة والأمان بشكل عائق أمام هذه النشاطات.
Because the absence of integrity or safety and security is an obstacle to hold such sessions or actions that they want to be involved in.
الظروف الاجتماعية والسياسية والاقتصادية صعبة بشكل عام على المرأة وعلى نشاطاتها.
And the social, economic, and political conditions are also making it more difficult for women to engage.
وكمان الانتهاكات والنشاطات اللي بتتعرض لها المرأة بتكون خايفة أو متخوفة من التطوع والنشاط في مجال السلام.
And also the violations against women whenever she participates in activities became an obstacle for her to rethink or reconsider joining such activities.
وهناك نظرة خاطئة عن أهمية التطوع والعمل بالمؤسسات بسبب أخطاء وسلبيات عامة.
And there is also a misconception and a false understanding of the meaning of voluntarism, of women participation in such voluntary actions and activities.
وهذا أهم عائق بالنسبة لي بشكل عائق أمامي
And this
هذا
is
الأسباب يعني الانتهاكات.
and these are the most important obstacles that I face in terms of engaging in such activism.
لذلك أنا دائما بحكي المرأة ليست وعاء للإنجاب بل صانعة قرار.
And this is why I always say that women are not vessels to produce or reproduce, they are decision makers.
If I may
شكراً.
answer now the question, because I am getting into security, and I want to just reflect on Fatima's comments in the Palestinian scene in general. The Palestinian women have always known that they have a role to play. Because they didn't choose it. It was imposed on them on so many levels. And when we talk to grandmothers in Palestine, we know that they have had to learn how to adapt, how to be skillful, how to survive, how to stand against tribal systems, how to stand against men's systems in order to protect the household and the children. So I'm honored always to represent the Palestinian women who we stand on their shoulders. To me, my grandmothers are the ones who liberated me, who taught me what liberation is about. To me, they were the ones who told me that there is no enemy. There is always a human being inside that enemy that needs to be heard. For me, I've learned peace building from Palestinian women, from their resiliency, from their steadfastness, from their sumud. And I'm always proud of them. And I know that they are not seen that way.
Thank you, Huda. Thank you for sharing that. I just thank you, all three of you, for sharing that. I know this is a difficult question because there is such complexity in the societies and communities you're living and working in. That is some of these gender.
My point, just one sentence. My point is women all over the world, the main challenge for them is being women. And I'm not saying just in the Arab world or in the third world. I really want us all to call our intelligence to the forefront of this conversation and think of women all over the world. And I visited Bosnia and Herzegovina for 7 years, took students there, and I saw what it means to be a woman in that context, in that conflict. And I've seen the resiliency. I just want every one of us as women to celebrate the fact that, yes, the challenge that is our sex, which is women, but also the celebration is that we are survivors. We know how to survive and we know how to liberate ourselves.
That's great. Thank you, Huda. That's pretty much what I was going to follow up with, to say that we are all, even as we sit today in the United States, we are really facing a lot of challenges as women. And that is everywhere, as you said. It becomes more intensified when it's in a conflict area with the continued difficulty of conflict and violence. So thank you for sharing that. I just want to mention that we do have some men with us today in the program, and we are very grateful for your support. And we always appreciate partnering with our partnering with men in our work, and appreciate support always. So, and I'm sure that there are such men in every society that we can rely on. So I will move to the next question, because we are coming close to an hour, and I just want to share with you the question. We know that far too often women are viewed solely as victims of violence rather than powerful agents of change. Research has shown that the women's participation in conflict prevention and resolution can significantly improve outcomes before, during, and after conflict. How are women in Israel and Palestine uniquely contributing to the peace and justice movement? And how can our community support women leaders. So you all spoke to this in different ways. Maybe it would be good to summarize it a little bit, but I would like if you could sort of focus on this. What can we do, right? What is it that you can expect from us? Combatants for Peace here in the US, a Sisterhood of Salam Shalom, which is a women's organization. Help us a little bit understand what is in our hands, and what would you like to see us doing to support your work over there?
Yeah, we did speak about that before. I want to say I didn't mention that, but in what we do, there's a lot of women. I mean, participants in groups, in dialogues, in both in youth and in adults. A lot of women are participating, but when it comes to leadership, it's less and less women and more men.
Mm.
So it's like it turns around. I think it says that women are interested and want to know more and want to be inside, but somewhere along the line, other factors come in. It's hard. It's hard. I'm thinking of I'll just say it. When you talk about Michelle and Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say Obama said this and this and that, so who would you think I'm talking about? You'd think I'm talking about Barack, right? Because if I would want to say Michelle Obama said something, I would say Michelle, right?
Yeah.
So this is like an indication of it's the same about Hillary and Clinton. I mean, it's all over. Like an indication of how we treat, and it's like a general thing in society. When you I mean, the comparison, stop treating us like little girls, okay? We're women, we're grown-ups, we know what we're doing, we have ideas that we want to put out there in the world. And I think that's as always, I can say as always, first we need to change inside the way we view things, the way we think about when we see a woman speaker and we don't like what she says and we want to push back. Would we use body descriptions, and to men we will write? So always look inside, ask the questions, get your answers, change what you need to change, give us more room to be. That's the only change needed.
And Ayala, if you is that what you were referring to when what we can do from here, or is there something specific you would? Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, specific. It's like any. I don't know how you say in English, like correction. Like again, if there's a convention, don't ever agree to have only men speakers. If there's correct to the other side. Be aware. Again, it's a matter of awareness all the time. This is the fight.
Thank you, Ayala. Thank you for emphasizing that. It is, as we all know, that it's not because we are women that's the problem. That the issue is social norms that are created, that are perpetuated, and that we need to work on to change them in our societies. So thank you for emphasizing that. I appreciate it. Fatima, go ahead, please.
نظري إنه إحنا ممكن يكون في إلنا قوانين معينة تنظم سير عمل المرأة في أي منظمة أو في أي مؤسسة. نحن بحاجة للدعم الدائم والمستمر من أجل النهوض بمشاريعنا وبأنشطتنا.
So she believes that for us to succeed and to proceed, we need to set certain ground rules so that we can more organize and regulate women work or working for women in any institutions. We need ongoing and consistent support to have progress in our organizations.
فئة النساء هي دائما فئة ضعيفة، هي المرأة التي تقوم بتحضير الأطفال للذهاب للمدرسة والذهاب للروضة، دائما فئة تقدر هذه المسؤولية الواقعة عليها. لذلك تعتبر النساء والمرأة هي مدرسة السلام والعدالة الأولى في فلسطين.
Women are always the weakest group. They are the ones who are responsible to prepare kids to go to the school. They are responsible to hold so many responsibilities, and they are capable of doing or multitasking. This is why women are considered the school for peace in Palestine and all over the world.
لكن عندما تواجههم ظروف عائلاتهم وأزواجهم الاقتصادية الصعبة لا يفقدوا الأمل ويستمروا في رعاية أطفالهم في التقدم والرقي نحو تحقيق وإخراج جيل واعي.
And when they are facing difficult circumstances, they continue working and they continue raising up their children so that they become stronger and become the new generation.
ومهم جدا إنه تتحمل المؤسسات المجتمعية دورها لتعزيز حقوق النساء وواجباتها اقتصاديا واجتماعيا.
And it's very important for the community organizations to support women so that they can fulfill their responsibilities and duties in the community and economically. And it's also very important for women to play their role, their political and social role, so that they can affect and impact the decision makers. And also for women to be empowered to take over their positions in the political parties and in leadership positions, whether in Palestine or around the world.
لذلك إحنا بحاجة لترتيب أفكارنا وبيتنا الداخلي علشان إحنا نطلع بجيل واعي قادر على تحقيق العدالة والسلام.
And this is why we need to organize our work internally so that we can produce and raise the generation that can contribute to peace and justice.
شكرا.
Thank you, Fatima. Thank you. Absolutely, I agree. We are doing work ourselves and also raising the next generation that will continue to do the work. So it's a really double work. Thank you, Fatima. Huda, I hope you're with us.
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Thank you. Do you want me to repeat the question or are you ready?
Please.
So we were, I'm sorry, I just moved away from the question. I apologize. So the question, we were talking about the women are viewed often as victims of violence rather than powerful agents of change, which is a sort of a very generalized statement, but in most society they are. But however, research has shown that women's participation in conflict prevention and resolution can significantly improve outcomes before, during, and after conflict. How are women in Israel-Palestine uniquely contributing to the peace and justice movement? And how can our community support women leaders?
Okay. I think, first of all, by being just to each other, by changing the systems around us that is making women the enemy of each other. And I cannot express enough how important this as a statement and also as a notion to start from home. We need to look at ourselves. We're not perfect. We are perfect. I think all women are perfect. We were created in the most perfect way, as it says in Islam. But does that mean we are perfect in this world? I think we need to do a lot of work internally in order to rethink the way women treat women in this world. The second point, leadership. I think we push women to participate all the time, to be in the political or social arena, in the peace building activism, but then we don't have a model for them to follow or a system to live within. That's why women literally turn off. They shine, but then they turn off because the system is not made to get them thrive. So again, as we need to create that system, we cannot continue blaming and shaming. We need to get actively engaged in a way in order to change the system, but also create a system that is feminist in a way that is also culturally appropriate. This is the third point that I'm alluding to, is that we cannot impose Western ideas of feminism on cultures of collective societies. This would actually compromise women. We need to be very sensitive when it comes to the culture women in conflict zones are coming from. And we need to create feminist values that are rooted in their cultures. So for them not to be put in a place where they have to confront the system that is not just. We need to give them the tools. One of the efforts that I'm working on with many women in the region now, not just in Israel and Palestine, is how to redefine feminism from a Middle Eastern culture. Islamic, Christianity, Judaism, these are all the cultures that, literally shape the conscious of women in Palestine and in the Arab world and in Israel. I have to say the Israelis are becoming very Middle Easterns. So we need to make sure that we are sensitive to the cultural norms and we give women tools in order to thrive in a system that is not designed to give them leadership. So leadership needs to change in that sense. And then men can lead. It's not a sex question. It's actually a leadership model question.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Huda. That's really a great closing to this, because that cultural sensitivity, it really is the core for us on this side, listening from you and hearing from you and wanting to help. It's important to understand the context you are thinking, operating, and working in, and to really work from there and in supporting you. So I really appreciate that. And that is something that I know we are all working on this side as well. So thank you all so much.
A shout out to you guys, to the organization that has women leading now. Look at Rana, look at you, look at Tiffany, look at Lindsay, look at Suhair, look at Fatima. I name them because these women have survived the system. They are leading and they are taking, again, apologies to combatants for peace, but since women joined and became in the leadership, things have changed. So a chapeau and a shout out for our member combatants for peace.
Thank you so much, Huda. Thank you, Ayala. Thank you, Fatima. Thank you for you all for sharing your questions and participating with us today. We are ready to close today. We'll continue to be with you, all three of you, and with each other, working together to continue doing this work. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you all so much for joining us. We will be sending out this recording following our time together. It will come today or tomorrow. I want to applause, send so much love to our women leaders who are on this call today, and those who are leading within their communities who aren't speakers in this talk, but have been leaders in their households, are leaders in their communities. We are doing this together. Thank you, those men who stand with us, who support us, who listen to us, keep listening to us. We have a unique wisdom that is imperative for the health of our communities, our societies, and our households. I just want to acknowledge, I wish everyone could have seen what was happening on the back end here. Various women leading our talks right now, we're going through crises. Tahia just had to get off because her daughter is in a crisis situation with their cat and they're having to put her down, and she sacrificed being here to talk with us. And I saw Fatima, her and her husband are working to hand the baby off and share their space. And I just want to thank even Huda, who's traveling and trying to wear many hats and play many roles. And Ayala, I'm glad you didn't have a crisis tonight, but I've been with you and know you juggle a million things all the time. So, women go the extra mile. I have seen this. We've always been expected to. And as we transition into the work of peace and justice in this field, we carry that same capacity and we give in the same way that we were trained to do in our own households. And I just want to say it's such an honor to serve with you and to unite and to link arms to continue to impact change as a community. So all of you, thank you for joining us again. And our last talk for our series will be on August the 24th. This one is about BIPOC solidarity. I hope you will join us for our last series. For those of you who have been with us this whole time, thank you for showing up to all of these. It's really an honor to learn and grow together. And everyone have a great rest of your day.